Good evening! Good evening and welcome to Visionary Women's 2024 kickoff event. I'm Ani Packard, the Executive Director of Visionary Women, and it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to our beautiful venue tonight. 8 years ago, our co-founders had a bold vision, a vision to harness the collective, intellectual, creative, and philanthropic power of women. And together, we have done just that year over year. Thanks to you, our nearly 300 members, generous sponsors, and strategic foundation partners, we have had a significant impact on the lives of women and girls in Southern California and across the globe. Our collective impact has raised and distributed over $3 million across 233 organizations. Our grant making supports women and girls with a focus on social services, education, economic empowerment, and the arts. If you'd like to learn more, visit our website where you can read our full 2023 impact report. We also have a handful of hard copies available at the welcome table. We'd like to invite anyone who is not yet a formal member of our community to consider joining today. I am certain we will be bolder and stronger with you part of the fold. And finally, the year ahead for Visionary Women is extremely bright. We've launched a new, redesigned website, and we have an inspiring lineup of programming scheduled for the coming weeks and months ahead. Mark your calendars for the morning of Wednesday, March 6th, where we'll be celebrating International Women's Day at the Beverly Wilshire. Now, this was a hot ticket item this evening, getting a ticket, and we don't want anyone sitting on a wait list. So much like last year's International Women's Day celebration and many of our events, tickets sell very quickly. So when we post on social and when you get pinged in your inboxes, purchase those tickets quickly. We don't want anyone sitting on a wait list. And in mid-April, we'll be embarking on our second Visionary Women trip to Mexico City from April 15th to April 18th, and we'd love for you to join. Now, I'd like to introduce longtime Visionary Women champion, current board member, chair of the events committee, Jennifer Bond.
Thank you, Ani. And thank you all so much for being here for our first Visionary Women event of 2024. Yay! We have a fantastic program. Our Women in Design special guests are Monique, Lhuillier, Irene, Neuwirth, and moderator Jennifer Smith. We're going to hear about their personal stories and journeys into design, as well as what inspires them. Before we begin, we want to thank our incredible sponsors for their generous support and for making this all possible. A big thank you to O'Gara Coach Beverly Hills, the top exotic luxury automotive dealer in the country, and a special thank you to Tom O'Gara. Our longtime media partner, the Wall Street Journal, and a thank you to One Hope Wines for the lovely wine selection this evening. And a very special thank you to Pierre Klein for everything that she does behind the scenes to bring all of this together. And now, please join me in welcoming Monique, Lhuillier, Irene, Neuwirth, and Jennifer Smith to the stage. And as they're coming up, it is my honor to share a little bit about Jennifer. Jennifer Smith is the founder, editorial director, and CEO of C Publishing, including C Magazine, a magazine that she created to celebrate the best in California in fashion, culture, and design. In addition, she created pop-up California concept stores called Studio C, celebrating the best in fashion, beauty, and design, with locations throughout Southern California. And without further ado, I am thrilled to welcome the Women in Design.
Thank you. thank you everybody for coming this evening. It means a lot to see so many amazing women here in the audience. I'm really excited to be here to celebrate this amazing California creative group we have in front of us, which is one of the reasons that I created C Magazine almost 20 years ago. I was running Santa Barbara Magazine and getting great response for what I had created in that market, but people kept saying, can you do this in Los Angeles? Can you do this in San Francisco? There's so many stories to tell, and we don't see them in some of the publications. So I kept thinking, is there a way to create a national quality magazine about California that can be more than just party pictures, that can really get to the core of the amazing talents in this golden state? Homes, nonprofits, museums, people doing interesting things here that don't necessarily get their due. So almost 20 years ago, I came up with the concept, brought it to market, and we are still celebrating those stories. But what's so funny is I actually knew both of these amazing women even before I started C Magazine. So it's really an honor and full circle to be here tonight with both of them who are top of their field in their respective categories. So with that, I'm going to start. First question. Let's start at the beginning. Monique. When was your eureka moment when you first decided to start your own company?
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm Monique Lhuillier. Thank you, Jennifer, for leading the conversation. So I started my company 27 years ago. I always loved fashion design. I was very fortunate to have a very glamorous mother growing up, and she inspired me, to create beautiful things. And then I moved to Los Angeles in 1987, and I went to fashion school. And when I was graduating, my final project was a wedding scene. And shortly after that, I got engaged to my husband, and I started looking for a wedding dress. And I was like, I think like a light bulb went off, and I said, I think I could create something that doesn't exist in the marketplace at that time. I mean, remember, this was 1994 when I was looking for a dress, and it was like, more elaborate designs and overpowering, I would think, for a younger fashionable bride. So I decided right after my wedding to start in the bridal space. Since then, we've evolved the company. Not only do I do bridal, but I also do evening ready to wear. I also do a wonderful home collection with Pottery Barn, and I also have my own jewelry with K Jewelers. And now it's really become a whole lifestyle brand. But this idea started in California and has stayed in California. I mean, I sell to multiple stores around the world, but really what inspires me is living here, being exposed to all the women that I meet here, and I just love the creativity that I see around me here, and so I forgot your question, but
Just when was your eureka moment? I think you answered that.
yeah, and I'm going to say, after really starting from scratch, I had a vision and I wanted to see it through. And, when you're young and naive, you have big dreams and you kind of go for it. I didn't even have a business plan, but I did know 4 years into it, when people could finally start to say my name right, that I was on the right path. And so that was my first eureka moment.
I like that. Okay, Irene. Same question.
I just want to start by saying that Monique pretended that she was bad at speaking in public before we came out here. I want to go before her next time. So I moved back to California after being in school in Vermont. And I was teaching horseback riding. And my father was like, you need to get a real job. You're a young, educated woman. You need to get a job. And I was like, I have a job. This is what I'm going to do with my life. And he was like, you need to get a real job. So not that teaching horseback riding wasn't a real job, but the way I was doing it was not. So I always loved making jewelry for fun, for friends, for myself. And people would stop me on the street all the time and ask me where I got my jewelry from, and I had strung it up in my, little bedroom. And I sent Barney's a note in magic marker and said, I hope you love it, and sent 10 pieces of jewelry there. and then hit redial for like days until someone was like, what do you want? And they ended up, they said, let us know when you're in New York. I was like, I'm going to be there tomorrow. And I flew the next day. And I was petrified, and I'll never forget what I was wearing. I was wearing a Michael Stars t-shirt and a Rose Nichols skirt and clogs. Not much has changed. But I went in, and I think that they just kind of loved I was like very authentic and excited and was making something that I felt passionate about. And so they were like, all right, let us know like what things cost and what your line sheet is. I was like, well, how do I do that? Can you tell me how to price it? I went back. My dad had helped me with, a structure for how to price it. I mean, this was 21 years ago. And they were my first account, and then we were their top selling brand right away, and really learned so much about business through growing our business with Barney's, which are rest in peace, Barney's. But anyway, that was our beginning.
That was a good eureka moment.
Thank you.
Okay, show and tell. Can you tell us about an early design which has had a lasting impact on your brand codes and what inspired it? So let's start with you this time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there we go.
So when I first started making jewelry, I remember I met with Reed Krakoff, who was at Coach at the time, and he suggested, it was really hard for me to think about collections. I sort of just made what I loved to make, which was really wonderful, and it was how we started our brand. But I started to make collections. He said, think about making iconic pieces and pieces that will be around forever. So I started thinking about things that would be wonderful layered together and that you could build, like somebody could buy one piece and then buy another and like build on their collection within my collection. So those were my first pieces. We did a bunch of bangles and these really long, beautiful colored strands, and we still make these pieces today, and they're part of our top selling.
Okay, same with you. Monique's.
Okay, well, this collection, this photo right here in black and white was from my very first collection 27 years ago. And it was all about modernity and like clean lines. And there's a timelessness, but there's also a youthfulness about this picture. And what you're seeing on this side of the picture is one of my collection pieces that's just came out. This is from 2024 spring. And lace has really been a signature of my wedding dresses, but it's how I cut it that makes it so special. We don't really line the lace, so it feels like it's floating and you really feel elegant, but yet there's the right, I guess, proportion where it feels like feminine but modern and elegant at the same time. So that's, a brand ethos that I take with me, whether I'm designing ready-to-wear or wedding dresses or really everything you touch from my collections.
But what I love about this, and both images from Irene's and yours, they're still timeless and classic and iconic. And like your first wedding dress collection is not like when you look back at some of those bad 80s wedding dresses and you're like, what was I thinking? Because at the time it seemed so in style, but like yours was just, that could have been taken yesterday, So well done you.
And that was shot in Los Angeles.
Oh, right, there you go.
But now that we can fly and we have a bigger budget for marketing, now this was shot in a beautiful palazzo in Italy.
Somehow Monique is one of my best friends. And I'll be like, where are you this week? Are we getting together for dinner? She's like, I'm actually in Lake Como and then London and then I'm going down to Sicily and then I'm all for shooting. It's all for work and shooting. I'm like, I need to figure this out. California Magazine needs to go more international because I'm only shooting here in California.
You do just fine. We meet in a lot of those places.
Yes, we have. But I love that you've incorporated yes, you're a California brand, but it is global, and you now shoot all over the world and celebrate beautiful places.
Well, the thing is, I always like to celebrate women. That's really the core of my design inspiration is how do I make women feel the best version of themselves? And I also feel like as a designer, I'm evolving because I'm growing up with my customer. So I feel that, I like to push it forward, but also the biggest reward for me is to meet so many women and then they all have their stories and tell me, oh, I wore this dress of yours for this occasion and that occasion. And for me, it's still a pinch me moment every time because, that's why I'm still here. You can make a beautiful product, but if nobody wears it, then you're not relevant and you can't really sustain a business just by creating beauty that's not functionable. So I feel like that's something that's very important to me. And the part that I wanted to get to also is the travel really inspires me. So when I take the collections and shoot them in these different locations, it's now painting the whole picture of the dream. It's not just the dress. It's like, where do I see you going in this dress? And that's why I do that.
I'm going to go off questions for 1 second. Sorry, I'm improvising. What I find as an editor is always finding the stories. And you both are the story of, like, why are people buying your brands? It's because of who you are and the vision you have. You're not just a name that's on a dress, and that's it. Or on a beautiful piece of jewelry that you're going to get for your special anniversary. Like, they want to know you. Your personality comes through in each of your designs, and you are so quintessentially like your beautiful tassel earrings, or that you're in the Rose Nichols skirt, and then I could see it all together still, and that you live this life of you are your customer as well. Like you said, you grew up, I was that bride, and now I need to have special occasion dresses, and I need ready to wear when I'm traveling, and now I want to have my table match the way I dress. And so I think that's really special as female creators and designers, that you have, for over 20 plus years, been consistently showing up, putting your heart and soul into your products, and that's why customers and all of us still flock to you. It's not like, oh, it's one note, it's the same thing, or I've lost their voice. You guys work at
I think
finding
that's
that.
the hardest thing to do. I think it's many moments over the last 20 years. I've been like, oh, this person came out and they had the most amazing collection, and you sort of have this like, are we done? And it's really a special thing to be able to reinvent yourself season after season, and it's exciting when it comes naturally and when people connect to it. And I don't know, I think that's like what makes people
Come back for more.
yeah, and I think that's what makes brands exciting, is when you can actually thrive year after year and kind of change with the times but keep your true identity to who you are. So
100%. Okay, back to the script. What were some priceless words of advice you've received? I'll start with you this time. And do you have a mantra?
Well, I always think if you find your passion, then it's never a job and you never feel like you're working. So, that's something I live by, and I always tell myself if I'm too comfortable, I'm not growing. So I always like to challenge myself and say, okay, what's next? What gives people a reason to come back to me and see what I'm doing next season? Because it looks so easy and flawless, but honestly, for a designer, if you have 3 bad seasons, like, it kind of sets you back. You know what I mean? So there's so many challenges along the way, and constantly, every day you're reminded how hard you have to work to keep moving forward. And you can never forget that.
Good advice. Irene.
well, this just got added. I would say, it's so ridiculous. My dad used to always say, work hard and play hard. Not that I played very hard, but I don't know. I think it's nice to not take yourself too seriously. Like, I've met with a lot of young designers who kind of torment themselves, like waiting for something to be perfect. And I would say that the most important thing that I've learned is it's never going to be perfect. And it's really nice to like kind of let that go and put yourself out there. And there's something really freeing about that. And also it's really nice to hear the feedback from people and not to like take yourself too seriously. You can listen to what people say. You can take that in and change things a bit and kind of figure out what makes your business work. That didn't really answer the question, but in a roundabout way. Okay. Work hard and play hard is good.
Yeah, more play hard. Moving forward, can you share a current design and why it is indicative of where you see yourself now? We'll start with you.
I make these really big one-of-a-kind statement necklaces. It was sort of like the one on the far right corner for you guys. When I first started, it was more of the iconic pieces that we have now, and I think because we've been able to carve out this like really amazing place in the jewelry world, it's allowed me to have more confidence and take bigger risks to mix crazier stones and finer pieces and sort of, I don't know, sort of play around with making things absolutely outrageous and seeing what will happen, and it seems to kind of work. So that's been the most exciting part of my brand today, I think, is like pushing the limits, making things like stronger, bigger, finer, more risky.
Yes, please. Okay, Monique, you sort of shared a little with that last, but I'll see if, again, moving forward, can you share a current design and why it is indicative of where you see yourself now?
Well, this is the wedding dress. It's actually the same slide that we saw. But what's interesting here is you don't really see separates in wedding dresses, and so this is me pushing, the boundaries, and they're now separates, and you can wear this top after your wedding and remember the special day. But I didn't bring more slides than I thought I could. But like, there's also different ways. I think because I've been doing it so long, like I have more confidence now when I put out new designs. And so like if everyone was watching the Emmys last night, I dressed Ellen Pompeo. And what was so wonderful about that is that that's actually a three-piece. It's a jumpsuit, like it was a bodysuit and then a skirt and then a separate little necktie with a collar. And when I put that out a year ago, just for the press, they're not in store yet, but it was risky to like put a bodysuit there when people think maybe for an evening look you want a gown. But these are like little things I'm tweaking and showing how you can do evening in a different way, and so like I said, that it felt sleeker and feels like the direction I want to move it forward with. And then also 2 weeks ago I dressed Reese Witherspoon for the Golden Globes, and I thought she looked beautiful in that pink twisted cocktail dress, and it was just the right amount of, like structure and newness of combining two colors, the color blocking, and I thought she looked gorgeous. So this is me experimenting and just, pushing again the envelope.
Love it. Okay, what was a pivotal moment when you recognized your business was really starting to take off? You sort of mentioned that before when they could say your last name. Was that it?
Well, that was the beginning, but then there was still, that was only 4 years in. So I would say like we really struggled till maybe year 10, where now I had wholesale distribution. I had my own flagship store. So then that felt like that was a better moment. But now that I have 4 flagship stores, that really is helpful because now we're driving our future. We're not relying on other retailers to tell us what's working for them. We're hearing directly from the customer. And, I'm so involved in a lot of the aspects in the business. I read the reports every day of what people tried on, what sold, what didn't sell. Like, I need to know that to be better informed to create newness. And so I'm going to say that I forgot the question.
The pivotal moment that you knew you were onto something.
Oh, you know what? I have a good one because that night I actually pinched myself because, we do a lot of red carpet dressing, and there's a fine line between how many people you can dress for one awards on the carpet. And a lot of you who don't know, people never confirm if they're going to wear you till the very last minute. So this was back in 2019, was the Emmys, and before the show we didn't know if anyone was going to wear us, but we knew that there were a lot of dresses out. And as soon as it started, one person gets on the carpet and like, oh, she looks incredible, okay, send a press release, that somebody's wearing us. 10 minutes later, another one came out in one of our dresses. Anyway, by the end of the night, we had 8 on the carpet. Wow. And everyone looked phenomenal in their own way. And that was an aha moment for me because my phone was blowing up with friends from all over the world saying, oh my God, you dominated the carpet. And for me, that wasn't even the goal, but it was just, it made me feel like we have arrived, basically that made me feel.
And how many years in was that? Almost 20 at
Yeah.
that point? Wow.
Yes, that was 20 years in.
Okay, your turn.
Mine is
What was your pivotal moment when you
Mine
recognized your
is a
business?
little bit different. When I first started making jewelry, I did a trunk show, and my stepmother, who's here tonight, I'm pretty sure we like forced her friend into buying a piece of jewelry. It was one of my first pieces of jewelry ever, and then it was this beautiful tanzanite necklace. I'll never forget it. And a few years later, she said, "You know, it was so terrible. I was in Europe, and all of my jewelry got stolen, but they left behind your piece." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's really terrible." And then many years later, my friend went to Europe, and she brought all of her jewelry, and they only took my pieces when her jewelry got stolen. But no, I mean, there's been many throughout my career, I feel like. I just, being on an airplane, I bumped into somebody who was wearing a piece of my jewelry. I'm always really embarrassing and completely uncool, you know, and I'm sort of like, "I made that." I'm like, what? I'm like, "I made that." And they're like, "There was no way you made that." But there's been many moments like that over the years that have been great and humbling and wonderful.
Okay, well, we're with you. Let's talk about the creative process. Where do you begin when you're designing a new line every year or season?
What was the question?
Sorry, creative process. Where do you begin when designing a new line every year?
I really connect to what Monique was saying earlier. It is very much about the woman who buys, or the customer who buys our jewelry. And it really starts there. I travel all the time. I do a million trunk shows. I love meeting the people who connect to jewelry. I love seeing what's missing in their jewelry wardrobe, and that kind of like strikes a creative note for me. And I don't know, and it makes me think about like how I can evolve and make better things. And I like to hear about what people like to wear and what makes them feel good about wearing our jewelry. And so it's really sort of, I don't know if that's like an unromantic answer, but that's really what it's about for me. And that's like what makes it tick. Like I really am so grateful for our clients, and a lot of them have become wonderful friends, and I've traveled with, you know, it's just been this really magical journey. And then I go back to the office, and I'll do a lot of drawing, and I put a lot of stones down and sort of play around. And I don't know, it's sort of like a mixture of that.
It's working.
Thanks.
Okay, Monique, let's talk about your creative process. Where do you begin when you're designing a new line every year or season?
Every season, I am inspired by a vision that I have, and I like to like touch fabric because I feel like fabric speaks to me and tells me what to do with it. So I am also very inspired by the outdoors and nature. So you'll see a lot of floral designs in my collection. You know, there's that ethereal quality to it. So those things together, and then I start with a mood board. So I put all these ideas together, and then I start bringing the fabrics and I drape on a form, and then I bring a fit model in and I start wrapping fabric around her because I need to see how things move, and then we get to the final, you know, point, and I edit things. But I like to feel and drape more than I like to sketch. So that's my creative process.
Fascinating. I like that. Okay. Go back to you. For you, what comes first, the design vision or keeping up with trends? And how do you reconcile moving the needle design-wise while still being commercial?
Well, now that I've been in business for 27 years, I'm a little more confident than when I started. So now it's not about trends at all. It's about authentic design that I put out there. And I also always think about the woman again. And I always say, where is she going in this outfit? Does she need this? Why? I mean, would I want that in my wardrobe? Do I even know the person I'm designing this for? So I question myself a lot before I put something out there because I just want to make sure there's a purpose for it. So there's a little bit of that practicality that goes into the fantasy, and meeting in the middle gets me to the product that I'm proudest of.
Love that. Same for you.
I think one of the hardest things about being in business is, well, for me, is I always want to make fine art, beautiful pieces. You want to have a business. You want to be able to make money, and you want to stay cool. So like, how do you create a big business and stay, relevant in the thing that makes you like, fulfilled? But I would say I've already lost track of that question. I'm sorry.
What comes first, design vision or keeping up with trends?
Oh,
How do you
I'm
reconcile
very
with
bad
the
at
needles?
trends.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to trends. It is very similar to what Monique said. I really am driven by my client, the woman who's wearing my jewelry, the man who's wearing my jewelry, whoever, like the journey of the jewelry, I guess, is what changes it naturally.
When you're at, the gem show, do you go to the gem show?
Yeah.
Okay, so when
Next
you're
week,
there,
2 weeks.
do you just, sometimes you'll find a stone that just speaks to you, or is that how you might
All the
do
time.
this? Oh.
That's like I literally I go with my team and they have to like hold me back. So I'm like, I want everything. I want all of these emeralds and these opals. It's really amazing there and really inspiring and really kind of like unglamorous in the best way ever, which is like sort of my jam. I love that. You go and eat delicious tacos and and go shopping for
In Arizona, right?
In Arizona. Yeah. It's great.
Love it. Okay. Would you both like to touch, I'll start with you, on the importance of Hollywood and the role of dressing celebrities?
Sure. It has been that's a tricky thing for me because it's something that's important to our business and I really enjoy and have met wonderful people through doing it, but it's sort of a thing that I'm like, oh, I wish that this wasn't like such an important thing. But it is, and we have made wonderful relationships and I would say we had this really incredible Carla Welsh, who's a stylist. So the behind the scenes for the Oscars, it's very hard as a jewelry designer, as a clothing designer, to dress the best actress. That whole category is like untouchable. A lot of people are, paid to do it, or they're, it's a
Contract.
It's a contract. It's very, very hard. So we sort of like resign ourselves to like, we'll just stick to like, we'll dress the people we love who are like wonderful. I mean, we always kind of do that anyway. Like we pick the person who we're like, this would be an amazing muse. And the one person I wanted to dress was Ruth Negga, who is nominated for Best Actress for Loving that year, a few years ago. I'm so bad with timing. I don't remember what year that was. A few. Carla Welsh,
2017.
amazing. Who just said that? Lizzie. Carla Welsh had contacted me and was like, would you ever make a like pagan tiara? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I will for sure do that. That sounds so fun. What a challenge. So anyway, we made this like amazing ruby tiara in oxidized gold. So it was like all black and rubies, and then made these huge earrings and tons of rings. And then I think like an hour before she was like, I just don't know if it's going to work. I was like, what do you mean? Like that's every last penny to my name.
Wow.
But anyway, she ended up wearing it all. It looked so incredible. It was such a moment where I like ate my words, where I was like, oh, this is so much fun to be like in it in this way. And to see like my work go down the red carpet and to see it on this like super cool, strong, powerful woman. It was just it was everything.
And do you feel like that helped move the needle?
For sure. We sold those pieces the next week.
Nice.
Yes. It was great.
That was worth the
That was the
gamble.
icing on the cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Monique, this is definitely up your alley because I feel like you dress almost everybody on the red carpet for premieres, for award shows. So I'll let you touch on the importance of that.
Well, when I started the company, like I said, the first 4 years was solely bridal. And then when we decided to start in the ready-to-wear space, a lot of the designs were wedding dresses that we were making in color because stylists were saying, oh, can you just make this for me and I'll put it on the carpet. And our first celebrity that wore us in 2000 was Angelina Jolie. And we didn't know what the celebrity power was or reach, but I had to say it helped people like gave attention to our brand. It helped people understand how to say our name right. I mean, so all of that really helped, till today. And the thing is, what I like about the exposure you get from a celebrity is it lives in the universe and everyone sees it all over the world. So all of a sudden there's this there's more buzz around your brand. And I didn't realize the importance of it till much later in my career. And being a smaller brand that I am, we don't have a marketing budget that, can pay any of the celebrities to wear our dresses. So that it's purely their decision to wear it. And, we have gained so much from it. And I have to say, it's not really direct sales. So it wouldn't be, I want that exact dress for me. It just helps propel the brand. You know what I mean?
It lifts everything.
Yes, 100%. So I think it's very important, and it's even harder to do it now because there's so many other players, bigger brands who call them brand ambassadors, so they already have contracts for the year, so you just can't dress anybody when you want to. So if they choose to wear one of my dresses, it's purely because they love the design or a relationship that I have authentically with that celebrity. And that's one of the actually beauties of living in California that I found out, is that those relationships were, authentically made because I was based here, and so that's how they discovered me. And so it goes hand in hand.
And also probably for both of you, the importance of the stylist within that Hollywood context. You have great relationships with all of these amazing stylists, and I don't know if the general public realize how important the stylist is, because
relationships.
and the relationships, yeah.
But in the beginning, not everyone had a stylist in the beginning. So I can tell you in the last 20 years that's shifted, and now, a lot of the stylists, present the options already to the celebrity.
Right.
But before that, it was actually a celebrity still looking for a dress for herself.
Wow.
So I've seen that shift in the years
That's
of being in business.
Yeah. It's a different business now, probably. Yeah. Okay, so technology keeps advancing, and AI is the buzzword du jour. How important a role does technology play in the design side of the business? I'm going to start with you this time.
Well, I have to say, a lot of in my design team, we develop prints and all that on the computer now. We don't paint in the office. Everything is done on the computer, and then I can see if I like it or not. We can make changes, or if I'm scratched. It's just a lot quicker to do it that way, so we do that. And at the same time, ever since COVID, I'm still doing a lot of Zoom meetings and design meetings, because I have several licenses that I work with, and some of them are in New York, some are in Europe. So we, work through the screen, and so that's how I use it almost daily in my world.
It's helped.
So it's helped, yeah.
Irene.
I feel like I live in the dark ages. We are so not. I wouldn't say that. I don't use a computer to design at all. Everything is really hand drawn and laid out, and we have such I obsess about seeing things visually. So in our studio, we have everything in where the jewelry is moving around to, little tiny pictures. I mean, they're pinned up everywhere. It looks like a crazy person works there, which they probably do. But I mean, it's been really wonderful to be able to, during COVID, to be able to get on Zooms with everybody across the world. And that's been really helpful. But AI for us isn't
Not
something that we really think about.
I mean, when I first met you, I was in your Venice. You had what was that, a townhouse in Venice for your office?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
I mean, that is a generous term. It was 200 square feet with I think a gun safe as a jewelry set. I don't even. It was an insane.
And now you're in Culver City.
And now we're in Culver City. We have 36 people now who work there, which is really wonderful. I would say I feel the most excited. During COVID, I remember when the world was shutting down. Barney's had just filed bankruptcy, which really hurt our business for a while. And I remember walking and being oh my God, am I going to have to lay everybody off? And we just got so creative and used social media as a platform to reach all of our clients and communicate with them. And I just hadn't had the time to do that before. And so it opened up this whole new world where we were able to I was communicating with all of our clients, and they were buying pieces. I was handwriting every single note being you are saving our business. We didn't have a single salary reduction, a single layoff. Our business grew during that time. I just felt really proud of that time. And I guess I couldn't have done that without Susan.
I mean, I think that's also indicative of true entrepreneur, where you take what's thrown at you and you just have to pivot.
Yeah.
We've had to do that in magazines. We've, global pandemics. Everyone's store closes. You're like, is nobody going to advertise ever again? What? I can't lose my team. Like, you just have to be able to pivot. And you've done that
So
and got
crazy. We
creative.
created a text thread with everyone in our office being like, okay, we sold this, or this is happening,
Yay,
this
team.
is moving here, or this store we're gonna go pry open the doors and get our jewelry. We were just getting very creative on how to. I don't know. It's really exciting when you can get through those moments, because there's been now many of them, not
Yes.
quite as hard as that one, but and it feels really good when you persevere.
And I remember calling Monique in the heart of COVID when we, literally Monique's been one of my best friends for 20 plus years. And she was like, I think people will get married again if people will ever see each other. Like, what are we doing? I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. But somehow we're all still standing and sitting here. And I would even venture to say maybe stronger from some of the entrepreneurial decisions that we made in that moment, which I think also shows you what you're really made of. Like, when
and the
shit
loyalty
hits the
with your
fan.
clients, and that was really strong. Where we were like, oh my God, people really feel connected to our brand and know that we're here to stay and want to support us and feel good wearing it. The whole thing was just such a incredible feel good moment at the end of it.
And for us, our best year was after COVID. From the time we started our company till today, this was a good year too, but that was the best year until then. Yes.
So everyone had COVID weddings, and then they had to wear you, right?
That's right. Everyone wanted to get married because they couldn't. So there was a surge of everybody wanting to get it and have their dresses now. So that was a challenge that we got through. How to produce as much as we could for the demand. So that was also a learning curve for us.
You're still standing and thriving. So congrats, both of you. All right, let's talk about the business side. For each of you, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned with running a business? I'm going to start with you, Irene.
Okay. There's been so many. I won't bore you with all of them, but I would say it's been really hard to learn how to be a good boss. And when I first had our initial group of people that work there, I just wanted to be friends with everyone. I was like, oh, this is so great. I have all these friends that work in our office. And it was really, sort of a grown-up moment to be like, okay, I have to have a leadership role and learn how to take that role and how to be a better boss. And so as my business has grown, that's been something that's been really fun and challenging at the same time. And I don't know, I think it's been really important to be authentic. I'm going to lose sight of what the question is.
Business side, some of your biggest lessons.
Can you believe I run a business?
Somehow it's working. So.
I think it's really important to be authentic. And it's one of the things that I've really learned with the creative side and the business side. We have the most incredible team. Nobody leaves our team, which is such an amazing. I think we have half of our office has been there almost over 15 years.
Wow.
And it's a real family, and that feels really exciting. So it's fun to grow the business and learn together. Yeah. One of the things, sorry to go back to COVID for a second, but I think I was incredibly controlling. I know I was incredibly controlling for many years starting off. And when COVID happened, I was forced to relinquish that and let people kind of help. And I was like, oh wow, everyone's really good at my team at what they were hired to do. I really need to let that go and let them do their thing. And because of that, our business just grew tenfold. It was really amazing to watch our team come together and do what they do best. So that was a big learning.
That's a good lesson. Okay, Monique, let's talk about the business side for you. What are some of your biggest lessons you've learned while running a business? And I should say, Monique does run it with her equally amazing husband, and that they're still happily married 25, 30, 28 years, and run a business together is unicorn stuff. So
it's not always pleasant, but it's working. No. But I was also going to say that, so thank you for bringing that, because I don't want to take all the credit, because Tom really runs the business side of it. I've become a really good listener through all of this, because like I always say, it's I want to create the beauty, I want to bring the joy, I want women to feel beautiful in the clothes, but he always reminds me that it is a business and it's about the balance, and so I've learned to like really pay attention to that. I also have my hands in everything. So like every, image that's shot, I'm there behind the scenes. I have a really great team, and everyone understands, I guess, the end goal. So everyone gives 100%. And I too have a team that has been with me for a really long time from the very beginning, and then obviously others who have joined along the way. But if they're with us, it's because they believe in the vision, and they give it their all. And I couldn't be here today if I didn't have that. So I'm so blessed to have that. And I also think that I've learned in business, it's so important to try and reach a bigger audience. And so that's why I also license, because for me, going into the home space with my home products with Pottery Barn, it's like giving everyone a feeling of my vision.
Accessibility.
They may not need a dress from me, but they still love the aesthetic, and they can now have it in their home. And so I love that part of it. I also love, I have a jewelry collection with Kay, and I do engagement rings and wedding bands, and it's just part of the story. You don't need a dress without, you don't get the dress unless you have the ring. So it just was authentic to get into that space. And I love designing that. So for me, it's about authenticity and listening to your customer, I would say.
I'll just throw in my 2 cents, because I sort of am in the entrepreneur world as well, that I have been doing magazines for a quarter of a century, and my president started with me 25 years ago when she was 20 years old. She's still with me now. She's, gone up through the ranks. And I think I would say to anyone who asks, I just hire really great people that know more than me. I know what I know in my own way, and I can bring my own talents. But when you can find team members that add, and then I don't second guess them. I just really let them do what they do, and I've had most people also 2 decades plus.
That's really rare for the three of us.
Thank you.
I really think so.
Yeah.
That's great.
So well done us.
Well done. Yeah. We did it.
Girl power.
So we are excited to have some young fashion design students here with us in the audience from Otis. What advice would you give to any of them considering launching their own lines? I will start with you, Irene.
I think it's back to the point of being really authentic and sticking to like what your core values are, and that sort of guides what you'll put out. And I think it's also what I said earlier, which is to not wait till things are perfect, because I think that's where really people get stuck. They're like, reworking it and reworking it and reworking it, and there's something really amazing about the process of like putting it out there, maybe before it's perfect. Well, definitely before it's perfect, but maybe before you even know it's what you want the final product to be, and listening to what the feedback is, whether it's an editor, a friend, a client, a store, a buyer. It's really, for me, it's been so valuable to get that input. So that would be my advice.
Great advice. Thanks. Monique.
My advice to somebody starting in fashion is to really be clear with what it is you're trying to say. So I know it also goes around authenticity, but you have to have a strong point of view, because the marketplace is so crowded, and you can't put something out that already exists, because then you won't really stand a chance, to pave your own path. So I'm going to say be original and don't be afraid. You can make a mistake and you can learn from it. None of us have all the answers, but just believe in yourself and keep trying, because nothing is easy. Nothing is easy.
Final question from me, and then we're going to open it up to some Q&A. With all that you've accomplished in your career, what is an unfulfilled ambition you still hold, Monique?
Well, I feel so fortunate to be where I am, and really seeing this like dream come to life. when we started this company, we didn't even have a business plan. It was all a feeling, a vision, and then to see the pieces coming together are so exciting. But I would like to see future growth internationally. Like I just opened our first store in London, and for me, to see how well it's been received, and it's only been 6.5 months, but we're doing quite well there.
I've already been there twice. It's so gorgeous.
I just feel like there's a whole world out there. So that's what I'm excited about is
Global
international
domination.
no international expansion. I don't know.
Okay, expansion, domination, whatever. Irene.
I would say mine is a bit similar. We opened a store on Melrose Place about 10 years ago, and then a store in Brentwood 5 years ago, and then we just opened in New York on Madison Avenue last year, which I'm very excited about. And I would love to. It's funny, like back in the day, I was like, I'm gonna have a home brand, and I'm gonna do all of these different lines. And really, I love jewelry. That is like what I really want to do. So I think I'd like to, continue to open a store, maybe in London, or just to expand, but in a comfortable way, not too fast.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you both have anything else you want to add before we open it up to the audience? No.
I'm sure I have lots of things, but we'll open it up.
Okay, I think we have Piera who's in charge of Q&A.
Am I on here? We're ready for some questions from the audience. I see one over there, Jennifer. I'll take this side.
Monique, I went to school with you 27 years ago to Pepperdine. With Yvette.
With my sister. Yeah, my sister. Yes.
Years.
We look alike. Yeah.
And I remember Tom and Adriano, and I remember that you're such a visionary, and your first, there was a Nagin, there were two Nagins at Pepperdine.
Yes.
Oh my God, I get emotional. Because there was a big Nagin and a little Nagin. And my dad turned 83 years old yesterday in Iran. And I always remembered him telling me that always make your passion your occupation.
Yeah.
And I went to see him after 38 years old in Iran. I get emotional because I may never see my dad again. And you are such a visionary because I remember Nagin, the other Nagin.
Yes. Yes.
No, like my dad always has had my back. And I remember this vividly because you were putting your clothes in Town and Country. And I'm like, she's so inspirational because you have beautiful clothes, but you had such an amazing business savviness about you. And I get emotional because my dad always tells me, make your passion your occupation, and your clothes are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I think you're doing that.
But I have one question. How did your father inspire you?
Well,
That's my question.
thank you for bringing that. My father's also 83. I just was with him 2 weeks ago. I grew up in the Philippines. I was raised there, and my father is an entrepreneur, and so I always say like he showed me like how important it is to love what you do, because he still works still today, and he's like, I'm never retiring money because I'm just gonna age and I'll be, uninspired, and that's not how I want to live. So I think I learned that from him, and my mother, unfortunately, she's not doing well. But I also think that because I lived in the Philippines, I also, when I moved here, I saw the opportunity, and I don't take it for granted. This is the country that if you work hard and you have a vision, you can make dreams happen. So I every day I'm like, sometimes I'm like, how did I get here? But it was through amazing women who also supported me from the very beginning, whether it was my teachers or my friends. I have a wonderful girlfriend group. Not every day is a good day, but when you have like a community who supports you, it's amazing the things that you can do. So thank you for being there also in the very beginning. Thank you.
Hi, thank you both so much for being here and for sharing all of your insights. Specifically to Irene's point about learning how to become a boss and not be everyone's friend. I guess my question for both of you is, did you have a mentor within the field, and or how did you learn or become the person that you wanted to be?
I would say when I started my business, it was really challenging that I didn't know anybody in the jewelry business at all. I actually didn't even really know anyone in the fashion industry either. But I found it really challenging that there wasn't anyone to bounce ideas off of. So, my dad is an incredible business person. He would help me. I met people along the way. I met incredible women. I had amazing friends who, you would kind of just like, I'm an open book, like for better or worse. And I would always ask very honest questions as my business was growing to learn. It's the same way when I put my designs out there. Like, I want to hear feedback. I'm really interested in learning the best way to do something. And that's sort of how I became the business that I am now. So even when we hired our initial team, like no one really had experience in jewelry sales. They might have had experience in sales, but no one had, like, we all kind of were learning as we went along, and there was something so cool and exciting about that because we were sort of making our own way. So that felt really great, and I think that's why we have a unique business that's sort of not like others in the jewelry world, I guess.
So,
Good. Thanks.
hi, my name's Jennifer Cohen, and first I want to applaud so many beautiful women here supporting women, and that you are all examples of women supporting women. And I love your dresses. I'm just overwhelmed by your dresses. And I really appreciated hearing your story about coming and overcoming adversity and then finding your passion. I love your jewelry. It's unbelievable. But this question's a little shallow. What did you learn from riding? And how did you...
Riding horses?
Uh-huh,
This is my favorite question of the night. Thank you.
And how did you apply riding to your career?
Well.
Or to your inspiration?
I'll keep it short. I am having such a midlife crisis, and I'm riding again.
I am too.
I am obsessed with it, and it has helped my business in such a tremendous way because I think it's been like this meditation for me. My jewelry is like very whimsical and fun. I don't know. There's something about like animals and it's magical. I like the people that are around horses. I like waking up at like 5 a.m. and having a breakfast. I don't know why I keep bringing it back to Mexican food. I'm very hungry. But I like getting a breakfast burrito and like putting on my riding boots. I ride before the sun comes up. And I don't know, there's just something really... Where? I ride at a place called Bridgeport Farms in San Juan Capistrano, but I have horses that are in the desert for this desert. So I have like lost my mind. I could talk. I'll meet you after. We'll talk in the back. Oh yeah, no, me too. Sorry.
All good. Next question.
Hi. Is this on? Okay. My name is Carly. I'm a senior at Otis College of Art right now. I'm finishing up my fashion degree this semester, which is really exciting, but of course comes with the question of what are you going to do with your life now? And I've been exploring a couple different things through my degree and my program, but I just wanted to know, like, at what point throughout your career did you realize, like, this was really the path for you? Because I think for me, I explore a bunch of different things, and I'm never quite sure, like, when I feel this is exactly what I want to do. So I'm just wondering, like, at what point in your career did you feel like this specific path was what was meant for you?
For Monique? Or both?
Well, I feel like I knew it was my path because, when I tried, it didn't immediately work, but I just didn't. I was relentless. I wasn't gonna stop till I moved forward and felt like something was happening. So that's when I knew. And I also think, like, when I stopped looking at the clock to say, like, are we done? Can we go and do something else? I feel like I knew it was my passion. I didn't want to do anything else but this. And when you get to a certain point, you can have the balance, and it's really great. I wake up every day and I'm inspired to start another collection. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I think I knew from those examples.
I am not sure that I knew right off the bat. I knew that I loved jewelry. I knew that I loved I loved doing something creative, mixing colors together. And I fell in love with it as I was going. I fell in love with the business side. I fell in love with the creative side. I fell in love with being the boss side. I fell in love with, being an employee. All of it just kind of happened as my business was growing. And there's never been a moment where I'm like, we made it. We did it. We're constantly like, is this what we should be doing? I feel like someone's going to find out that we have no idea what we're doing. We're all just kind of going at it, one day at a time. So I don't know. I think that you just have to go a day at a time and see what transpires and, how it makes you feel.
Good answers.
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm an interior designer. I'm a fairly new business owner. I started my own company 2.5, 3 years ago. This question is for both of you because I feel like you have very different personalities and perspectives. So I'm interested to see how each of you did this. I wanted to know about scaling your business. When it came to scaling your business, how did you figure out the best path to do so? What steps did you take, to figure out how to make your business bigger or how to grow or how to go into different avenues?
I can start with that one. It's something that's very uncomfortable for me because I like to grow carefully and calculated, and I'm not super comfortable with over the years, so many stores wanted to carry our line, and I was like, no, not because we thought we were better than that store, but I wanted to make sure we were doing it properly and that we were going to last and that, we had incredible customer service. And so for me, we grew in a very organic upward motion, but I wasn't now's the time that we're going to take on investor, we've been self-financed. The whole thing has been really kind of carefully driven. I don't know if that answers your question, but okay.
We're the same as you. We take it's one step at a time. We grow at our own pace. We, like you, have not taken outside investment. So, we never wanted to take on more than we can chew. And every time we introduced a new partnership, because I told you I license, the category really needed to make sense for us. We just didn't sign with any partner just because there was a check in the end. It had to really be authentic, and we had to see in the totality that it makes sense with the story we were telling. And so we lost some deals along the way, but it didn't matter because we were not looking for a quick rise. It was steady, and I have to say, the fact that we're in business still 27 years later, when a lot of people who, we were talking about it backstage, who are who rose really quickly and who were based in New York, who had the whole fashion world support them. I mean, I had none of that. I was, based in Los Angeles. In the 90s, there was really no fashion coming out of Los Angeles except for big jean manufacturers. But if you wanted to play in the luxury space, you had to be in New York, which we were not doing. So, it was already a strike against us, and we would come for the CFDAs and all that and be like, who are you? And then we're like, oh, and we're like, okay, my goodness, we're going back to LA. And so, but we, like I said, we were thinking about the big picture in the end, and we're still growing and at our own pace. I mean, at some point, maybe we'll bring a strategic investor, but we're fine with the way things are going. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's how we're doing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question specifically for Monique. So I was working in Paris until recently, and I was watching how difficult it is to actually succeed within the industry. I was working for Lhuillier, who it's similar to the trajectory you were just speaking about, a huge meteoric rise, and now that type of fashion, very artistic fashion, isn't as respected anymore by these large multi-brand companies. And so I was wondering, I think your creativity is so impressive, but even more so, how you've become so successful. And like as a woman and on your own, you're not supported by Gucci Group or some huge conglomerate who's backing you. And so I'd really like to know how you started. Like, did you start with bespoke one-off pieces and then kept growing, similar to her question? Or how did you really like start off? What was that like for you?
Well, we started off in the bridal space, and the reason we did that was because I felt there was a niche in the marketplace that I could fill, but I was a 24-year-old, starting with, my husband had just graduated from USC with his MBA program, and I was like, oh my God, we can do this together, and all stuff. And I decided to do 5 wedding dresses. We went to a trade show. We had our own booth, and we stood there, and a couple of stores came by and like, great product. And I was like, can we shoot this for a magazine? 5 stores actually picked us up, from that show, 3-day show. And on the way home, I was like, oh my God, now we're in business. Now we need to make the clothes. Like, I was just presenting 5 dresses. I didn't know now if the size. So then we had to like come back and think about how are we gonna produce everything. We didn't have an internal team. I was using a contractor. It was me, my husband, and a pattern maker, and then we were contracting the work out, and for the samples. And so then we were like, oh, well, now we're in business. Let's like learn. And so like we packed every single dress up, and then it was Monday through Friday that we were in the factory, which wasn't even my factory. I was renting a space inside somebody else's space, and on the weekends we would travel to different trunk shows to actually meet the brides and listen to what they thought of the clothes, and that was very helpful for me. And the fact that I was in business with my husband is we didn't not have a life, but we were together, and we could handle it, you know what I mean? And so that was the first 5 years. We really did everything together. And then we scaled it by bringing a production person in, hiring more people. We eventually took over that space that we were renting. We hired everybody that worked there. And a lot of those people are still with us. But we just learned from our mistakes. And, we also really listened to our gut, because some stores were like so flashy and they're like, oh, we can do this for you and do that for you. But if we didn't feel right about it, we didn't go into business with them. And so I think I also learned that you can create a beautiful design, but if nobody feels good in it and you don't feel confident in the most beautiful version of yourself, then nobody has a need for it. So I had to also understand that it's art and commerce, and how to make that meld together to come up with a product that serves a purpose. And I can say that now with years of wisdom. In the beginning I was like, I had all these fantasy dresses, and Tom's like, we're not going to sell that. I'm like, how do you know? You have a business major. How do you know we're not going to sell that? And but I understood. And I think also the more time I spent with my customer, I understood her lifestyle, and we evolved. And I guess fast forward to today, I'm still listening, still curious, and I still want to learn, and I want to hear where people are going in these clothes too, because that inspires me to continue creating. And I have to say also, the fact that we didn't bring an investor early on or sell out has helped us with our longevity. It was maybe not the right thing to do for a lot of companies, but those young, talented designers who are really talented, some people just want to turn on their investment and they don't have the patience. So if you're not performing, then they're out. And then these young designers lose their names. And it's just really challenging. So I'm glad we stuck to our gut.
Hi. Sorry. My name's Victoria. I'm a senior at Loyola Marymount University. First of all, thank you both for coming tonight and sharing your amazing stories. But I wanted to ask a question for you both. What do you do when you're stuck in a creative or inspirational block?
I go horseback riding.
I love that.
No, I think, that happens all the time. Every single time I'm creating a new collection, I'm like, I can't make anything I like. No one's going to like. And I think just working through it drawing, sketching, traveling, going for a hike, being outside, seeing people's clothes, like everything is inspiring. All of a sudden, like something clicks, and you're like, oh, that's a cool thing, and then the collection like develops off of that. It's like sort of an unexplainable thing. I think it's just being able to give yourself space and pull yourself away from the problem. That's really helpful for me. And horseback riding too.
And that happens to me too. I sometimes panic because I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do next? But I do take the time, and I love that we live in California, so I can take long hikes. I can be outdoors. I love interior design, so I can, like fall into that and then maybe pull something out of, being inspired by that. And then sometimes I'm also inspired by fabric. I always say I love to see fabric because sometimes it tells me what to do with it. And so that's how I get over the block. And then sometimes I have so many ideas, so then I put them in, I write them down, and then I don't use them for this season, but I'll use it for next season. So it's like I just kind of journal it, and then when I'm stuck, I revisit things. And also now that I've been in business for a long time, I also go back into my archives, and I remember like, oh, that really worked beautifully. Then maybe I can do a version of that and bring it forward because, it's not always the same customer that's looking at it 15 years later, and then I can also learn from that process. And then I just look at that library and see where I came from and what I can add to it and just make it feel new again. So.
Hi, I'm Celestine, and I just want to, I'm right here, sorry. I just want to say thank you, ladies, for coming. I think you guys are both so amazing. Irene, you are probably one of the first women that I've seen in jewelry really bring opal to such a new element. So I want to say thank you because my birthday's in October, so you've brought so much joy to my life. And then I do want to ask you, ladies, as far as when you guys first started or when you're, just driving this creative aspect, who or what inspired you?
I have this like crazy. So I was getting my makeup done. This sounds so glamorous. It was not glamorous, but I was getting my makeup done by this woman, and she had on this long necklace with like a little like trinket heart on the bottom, and I was like, oh, I love that. And she was like, oh, my mom gave this to me when I was 5. I never take it off. And then she was like, these earrings I bought when I graduated college, and my dad gave these to me. And my first paycheck, I bought this. She's like walking me through her whole jewelry situation, and it was so inspiring to me. I was like, that's why I want to do what I do, like to make pieces that are passed down from generation to generation. And it's sort of, I don't know, that was like such a like aha moment for me, I guess.
Well, for me, it was my personal journey. I was a fashion student who had graduated, and then I was a young bride looking for a dress. And so that really was the path for me because I realized that it was something I could start in, and I was so passionate about finding the right look. I also, in hindsight, think it was the best way to start in fashion because in bridal, there's only 2 seasons a year. The collections are smaller, so I could really concentrate on perfecting the fit and the product. And then once we had the foundation, it was easier to build from that. So that was, what transpired for me.
Okay.
Well, my mother's favorite designer was Valentino, so that aesthetic was already ingrained in my head from just seeing her wear it, and she was elegant and timeless. So yes.
Okay. Do I get to go?
We have time for one last question here.
This is really not a question. It's a major thank you. And it's a little personal because I'm going to take person by person. And I met Jennifer at Fashion Week in Paris in 2008. And C Magazine was just in the roots and beginning, and I'm really proud of you, of how far you've come from those days and how we survived Judy Price. Wow. I know this is very personal. I'm going to go to Monique next. My son was bar mitzvahed in 2004 and used to have a little retail store in Santa Monica and Camden. Yes. And I tore a picture out of People magazine, and I walked in and I said, I want this dress. I didn't look at any other dress. It was a black lace dress. I can show it to you later. And I didn't have a cover-up, and you made a shrug for it. Shrugs were really big then. And your talent and that, I needed a special piece. You made it happen for me. And Irene, I wear your stuff every day, and I get zillions of compliments and back to special orders. I wanted a special pair of earrings made, and you made them. So all three of you, with your vision, your inspiration, your courage, and to go out there and make your dreams come true, I'm really in admiration of all three of you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to Visionary Women for allowing us to be here to share these great stories from truly visionary women. I'm honored to know you as friends. I'm honored to run a magazine that gets to write about both of you often and get to tell your stories, because I think California really is, you know, everyone always says it's Paris, it's London, it's New York. Yes, it's all of those things, but California over the years has really become such at the forefront. Now, all the designers are coming here to do their shows, and it's like, we've known the secret all along. And we were here first, and you two have been doing this for decades from here, sharing this California vision. How it influences your designs, and the rest of the world wants it and keeps wanting it. So congrats to you guys. Thank you to all of you for coming to support. Thank you.